Alrighty. So, good morning, everybody. Checking to see if I'm live. Making sure that I am live with you guys. If you can hear me and see me, let me know that you can hear me and see me. I am live on LinkedIn. I'm supposed to be live on LinkedIn and live on YouTube and live on Facebook. Have an interesting discussion, which it's all about marketing. But if you can see me, just let me know that you are with me, that you're hearing me and seeing me. That's the first thing. And then of course let me know if you where in the world you are joining me from. If you are joining me, I'm in the beautiful um, twin island of Trinidad and Tobago, which is the most southern Caribbean island. And I'm excited about this topic that we have to discuss today, right? So it looks like I'm live there, and I'm seeing if I am live on Facebook. Go here. Yeah, and I'm live on Facebook. Great. All right. Camellia, I hope I pronounced your name right. From Canada, happy to have you on. And from LinkedIn, right? Let me know if you're hearing me and seeing me. Great. Good morning. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. I like to say all because I don't know where my audience might be joining me from. Just a quick introduction or reintroduction. My name is Debbie Jody, and I am a marketing strategist and a business development consultant. And I work out of the Caribbean, and I serve a lot of Caribbean brands as well as some international brands. And I have a very interesting discussion topic for discussion this morning, all about influencer marketing. And it's something that has been at least chat about and all over social media about the importance and the relevance, and if companies are doing social influencer marketing in the right way. And I really want to kind of end the discussion on, is it really right for your business and your organization, right? Um, so happy to have persons on. I have persons from Florida and Canada, so I'm very excited. Right. So influencer marketing, I'm going to jump right in. Influencer marketing, let me start by kind of giving a little bit of a backdrop. I think persons know what influencer marketing kind of is about, and just to kind of break it down very simply, influencer marketing in 2023, of course, it's all about um, your digital impact and your digital footprint, etc. So influencer marketing is all about a partnership, a partnership with what we term an influencer, which typically would be an individual that has a significant or large enough following on specific social media platforms. For instance, you tend to have a lot of influencers on Instagram, or influencers on YouTube, or even on TikTok. So companies, corporations are now teaming up, or have been for a little while, teaming up with what we call influencers. And marketing is supposed to have a mutually beneficial relationship, meaning that the organization that is utilizing the influencer is going to acquire some sort of benefit, and the influencer is also supposed to have some sort of benefit, right? Now, what's interesting here is that this is not um, a new thing, or it's not a new aspect of marketing. It actually is an evolution, and which is why it's so interesting, right? It comes out of sponsorship and public relations, actually, and maybe persons are not aware of that, right? Companies initially got into sponsorship agreements with other organizations for them to sponsor particular events and programs. A lot of it started out in a very altruistic way, right? Businesses supporting other businesses, or businesses supporting NGOs, right? That grew into what still exists, which is endorsement deals, where celebrities as well as athletes have these types of relationships and contracts with organizations, where again there is a partnership. And so we know the large organizations like Nike perhaps is one of the most known brands that have teamed up with a lot of athletes, right? And they have a co-partnering, right, where both parties benefit, right? The company is able to attach themselves to these athletes who are successful and very good at what they do. And so that helps to build the esteem of the organization and build more. And persons who follow these particular athletes are, of course, invested in the organization, right? And of course, buy the the products and services, because many of them might actually be in the athlete's name, right? Apparel and sneakers, etc. Right? The athlete who becomes somewhat of a brand ambassador, right? And they have contractual arrangements there. Naturally, um, they also benefit as well. They either benefit from free goods, free products, free services, free trips. Lots of athletes have contracts where they become keynote speakers for the organizations that they represent. And obviously it's they may also benefit materially from cash and cash rewards, right? Lots of this end up in the millions of dollars, right? In fact, a lot of these athletes have been known to actually make more money from these types of contractual arrangements and these types of sponsorship and brand ambassadorship. They make more money from it than from um, their actual career, right? Whether it's football or basketball, etc. Now, what's interesting is that influencer marketing is our version now of a sort of sponsorship agreement, brand ambassador agreement. It's interesting in that way because now the average person has access to some local, regional, international, large brands, and can really um, be successful and grow their careers and make money off of certain arrangements, right? Arrangements that they make with those particular organizations, right? So that's really where marketing comes from, right? It is an evolution. It has been a part of that sort of arrangement has been around for a little while. Now, um, there are lots of benefits of influencer marketing, right? Lots of benefits. I have my notes here, so I'm gonna pull out my notes a little bit, right? So there are lots of benefits of influencer marketing, both again for the company as well as the influencer, right? The company has access to an influencer that essentially has a large enough following that if that influencer were to the company, promote the company's product or service, promote um, the launch of a particular event, then the company is being seen, right, in a way that they want to be seen. It's helping them to raise their visibility, increase sales, um, etc. And of course, the influencer as well is also able to, sign a contract that can be fairly lucrative and gain cash money, right? They themselves can benefit from free products or services from the organization, right? And who doesn't want free stuff, right? And also, too, I think something that is not spoken about enough is the fact that depending on um, the contractual arrangement and who the company is and how well that influencer is able to build their brand and build a relationship with that company can actually help that influencer to grow, can actually help to solidify that influencer in a space, can help that influencer to actually be able to really position themselves and grow, and maybe grow even faster than they thought possible. So it really is, you know beneficial to both parties, right? The company could increase sales, they could get, increased visibility for a product or service. They can, they have more visibility in terms of their brand, their company brand. It could strengthen the company's brand and a host of other positive impacts there, as compared to what I mentioned before in terms of influencer. Influencer marketing is much more accessible. It is an accessible place in terms of financially. It's not as expensive as having to have a relationship with, Steph Curry or LeBron, right? Lots of influencers, and there are a range of influencers, there are even micro influencers, and therefore companies can really benefit, whether the company is a small company, medium, or large scale, right? So it's pretty exciting. It's an exciting time, and it's a really exciting space to be in as an influencer if you're doing it right. Now, there are some challenges, of course, and this is where the debate comes in. This is where lots of talk and a lot of excitement takes place here, because people have different views of, if to use influencers, if not to use influencers. How can my company utilize the influencer? Lots of persons, especially in the Caribbean, debate whether we do influencer marketing right now. The two main challenges I see as a marketer or as a person that might be supporting our organization and choosing an influencer or utilizing this as part of their branding initiatives and launching products, etc. One thing is, of course, to find the right influencer. And there's a lot of debate here, right? A lot of persons feel as though companies may just use influencers for using them, for just using them. They have a big platform, they have a big audience, and so they say, okay, let's use that influencer, which I don't necessarily disagree with. If what you want to do is just get your message out there, just, have more likes, have more followers, have more persons sharing it, have more persons talking about your brand. If that's the case, then yeah, you pick an influencer that's fairly popular, and okay, you use them. Um, but if you're thinking about really utilizing a social media influencer and utilizing them over, a long term, and you have an executive team and you have a board, and people are asking questions about, you know what is the return on investment, etc., then you really do have to kind of dig a little bit deeper in terms of the influencer you choose, and how you're going to measure it, right? And those two are really those two are the challenges I see, and especially in the Caribbean, because we do have a lot of, as much as we have a lot of niche influencers, meaning we have bloggers, or we have fashion experts, or we have um, tech influencers. We also have what I would call much more general and mass marketing type influencers that fall in the realm of persons who are personalities. They are, um, they might be like a radio personality, or they may be a comedian. And to me, they are much more broad based, and they constitute an influencer that can reach, a mass amount of person, right? And not so niche down. So the challenge is to really, for organizations, is, are we going to find the right influencer? Who is the right influencer for us, based on our needs, values, mission, vision, and also goals, right? Your goals. What do you want to achieve? And the other thing is, with the digital space, sometimes, and also too, with organizations running parallel marketing campaigns, it can be difficult to measure the return on investment from the influencer, which is why it's important to kind of set those goals early on, so that to some degree you can measure what that influencer is adding to your bottom line, right? So just pausing here a little bit to make sure that persons are hearing me, still hearing me and seeing me. Let me know if you're hearing me and seeing me. If there are any questions, of course, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I will most definitely um, answer any questions to the best of my ability on this very, very interesting topic, right? So my next slide wants to talk about choosing the right influencer, right? Choosing the right influencer. Now, the debate in the Caribbean, and the debate in Trinidad actually, is that a lot of organizations do not think about this in the right way. Now, the ramifications to this is very similar to, choosing an athlete or actor that goes through some sort of negative publicity. Their reputation is impacted in some way, in a negative way, and because it is a partnership, naturally their challenges can actually affect your business and your brand. It is the same with influencers, right? Wonderful. Okay, it is the same. Nice to have you on, Allison, right? It is the same with influencers, right? In that um, influencers are regular persons like you and I. They have just amassed a large following. They may be subject matter experts in their field, and they can make mistakes, right? So we've had particular issues here, right here in the Caribbean, where influencers have said, all the things that you think people need to be mindful of. So they have been insensitive, and they have said things that are, politically not so, it mightn't be politically smart. They have said things that may hamper a particular race or community of persons. They might say things about a particular ethnic group, um, and so those things present challenges for organizations. Here's what happens as well too. When organizations don't necessarily do their due diligence there, and they do not, if um, things are brought to light about an influencer, because again, not all influencers are created equal, and they do not necessarily do anything about the influencer, meaning they end the contract, or they suspend the contract, or they look for some other way to continue. It does impact the organization's brand, because depending on who the influencer has sort of stepped on, and who they have offended, naturally that community and that particular group may choose to not purchase from a particular brand because of that, right? It's tricky here in the Caribbean, and that's why it tends to be a little bit, you know, I don't want to say funny, but it tends to be, we tend to have like a 7 day memory on the thing. So we get enraged about something, and we get enraged about something an influencer said, but then we forget it. And therefore, maybe that's why organizations at times don't necessarily end contracts with influencers, because they think, okay, it's going to blow over and people will forget about it in a few days. But again, this is a marketing strategy. This is a strategy to help build your brand and to make sure that your brand is sustainable. And it's a space where organizations need to think carefully about it, right? So in choosing the influencer, going back to this, choosing the influencer means that you have to do, the first thing you have to do is to do research, right? It's fairly easy to find out information about influencers. You could do your own research, your marketing team could do research. In small communities like the Caribbean and like the islands, it's not very difficult to find out from one person or the other if a particular influencer might be right for you and be right for your particular brand, right? So that's one of the things you have to do. You want to make sure that that influencer is someone whose values to some degree line up with the organization's values, right? You want to make sure that influencer perhaps is not working for another competitor in another realm or in another space. You want to really do your research, you want to do your due diligence before you say, okay, just hire that influencer simply because they have amassed a large following, right? That's one. Two, the second thing, of course, which I think is good for all organizations, is to have some sort of contract, which I think most organizations do, right? They do have a clear contract, but the contract must spell out what is required of that influencer. Now, in some on some larger scales, some very specifics are said there in terms of, and I go back to the endorsement and the endorsements of celebrities and athletes and so on. There are brands that have been known to restrict brand ambassadors or celebrities or persons that they get into those types of contractual relationships with, to state that you cannot promote or endorse anything that will compete directly with that brand. So if you are a brand ambassador for Coca-Cola per se, you can't be a brand ambassador for Pepsi. And they get into even more specifics, like you can't be seen drinking a Pepsi, you can't attend specific events where that company is sponsoring it, etc., etc. Now, can organizations do that here? Sure, they could do it with their contracts, but influencers might be considered on a much smaller scale. But it just goes to show that we need to look at those examples. A contract is going to help you really define the terms and conditions of that relationship, the stipulations, and what are the requirements of the organization and what are the requirements of the particular influencer, right? just outlining clear responsibilities, etc. Right? And one of the last things I want to say, which is very important, is what are your goals? This is like a question I repeat constantly with all the companies that I work with and work for. I always say, what are your goals? And so when you team up with an influencer, you should actually ask them, or not rather ask them, but you should actually state what your goals are. What does the company want to get out of that partnership with the influencer? What is the influencer supposed to do? And this is where the debate comes from. Now, if you are looking to be very specific and, let's say, increase the sales of a particular product or service, then it would be very important for the organization to pick the right influencer, right? For instance, if you do have a fashion magazine that you are launching a new issue, or you are highlighting a designer, right, in the magazine, and you want to have that successful launch, you may want to pick an influencer, not just a general influencer, but one that is very known within the fashion industry, is seen as a subject matter expert, and has the brand and integrity and the vision that the organization wants. But then you also need to actually state, well, listen, we want to launch this product. We want you to help us launch this designer. And we want you to deliver on certain things. We want to be able, you need to be able to give us specific information. How many views you're going to get based upon a campaign, right? We would like to achieve this, right? I mean, at the end of the day, nobody has complete control, right? But you can build um, certain metrics in, that of course the influencer has to agree to prior to getting into that particular contract, right? And that goes for any company or brand that wants to launch a product, increase sales, or anything. Those are the types of discussions they need to have with the influencer. And this is what I want. This is what my company needs. Can that influencer deliver? I say that because our organization, I just recently worked with Ask the Influencer. Can they provide information about their some analytics behind their brands, right? Followers, the number of followers, the active engagements, and so on. They didn't just want the top tier metrics, right? Number of followers, how many, male or female, but wanted some more specifics in terms of the demographics of that influencer's audience. And the influencer did not know, right? And they took about a week before they could provide that information. So for influencers out there that want to continue to make money and build your brand, you have to know your audience. You have to know the level of engagement, and you should be doing specific types of research on your audience as you begin to grow, so that you can say, my audience consists of mostly women between the ages of 25 and 34, and these persons are middle managers, or these persons are moms of one or two kids. You have to be able to give those types of specifics so that you can, be in a better negotiation space with the organization that you kind of want to collaborate and work for. So that is the one of the last things I say for organizations. And it doesn't matter if you're small, medium, or large. A lot of small organizations, a lot of now startups. I tell persons, if you're, a hairdresser, a barber, you're now starting out, you now have a retail space, you are getting into jewelry, jewelry design, you can use influencers here, and they are attainable. They are reachable, right, in terms of financial capacity. But you have to know, and you have to have that discussion about what are your goals and what do you want to achieve out of this partnership. How long is this partnership supposed to be? What are they supposed to do in exchange for that, contractual arrangement or financial arrangement? Are they creating content? Are they going live with you? Are they creating content on their own? How are you all doing that cross collaboration and so on? Very important, right? Setting those goals are extremely important, right? And so ultimately, almost to the end here. So any questions, feel free to drop in the chat. Measuring the success of influencer marketing is very important, and it's something that I want to encourage organizations to do, because influencers get a bad rap, of course, and the marketing team within organizations get a bad rap as well, because hey, we just use influencers. We just, it's part of what's trending now, and so let's do it. Um, but truthfully, we need to be able to measure the um, how successful are we at using these influencers, right? Have and we have and organizations have to put particular metrics in place. One simple thing is ascertaining feedback from customers. Um, and when you ascertain this feedback, one of the questions should be, how did you find out about my particular product or service? Was it an influencer? Did you see my particular product or service endorsed by an influencer? And is that how you knew about my particular product or brand? That is a guide to see which marketing areas, tools, techniques, etc., will is really working for your organization, right? So again, the whole idea of using an influencer shouldn't be something that is ad hoc. It should be planned as part of an overall marketing strategy, and it is something that should be measured and evaluated. Excellent to use. It is being used, but we want to know how impactful it is to your particular company and your particular audience, right? So, my last slide here is all about um, asking back that question. So, is influencer marketing right for your business? So, I want to say yes, and actually, it's right for most companies, right? I think most organizations can find an influencer that can help them continue to build their brand. I would add um, this interesting fact. The truth is, most influencers are in what we call a B2C space, right? They are part of commercial brands, consumables that you and I know about as individuals. They're not that many in niche markets, or not really niche, but B2B branding, because B2B brands are business to business brands, and some of those brands and some of the products of those brands can be very technical in nature, and you and I may not know about it unless we are actually work or are part of those organizations, right? So we may not know about it. But influencer marketing, for the most part, is very good and useful for a range of organizations, insurance, different types of financial industries, as I mentioned, small startup organizations. You can negotiate, with micro influencers for hundreds of dollars, right? Not hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, right? You can negotiate with micro influencers for hundreds of dollars, and they allow you a different level of accessibility to your market, and to potential persons in your market. So I do say it's very lucrative, and you could look at ways of incorporating them. I also think they're also pretty effective, especially in the Caribbean. If you want to create content that might be a little more lighthearted, if you want to be able to reach a new audience, if you want to shake up your brand a little bit and have your brand be more reachable and accessible. Influencer marketing is something that you can consider as part of your overall strategy to help you penetrate a market and have much more success. So I definitely think that is, a very, very good, new marketing tool that is very reachable for a lot of persons, right? So, with that said, we have kind of come to a close. I want to thank persons for joining me. Had a lot of persons on um, LinkedIn from the USA and from Canada, so I'm very grateful for that. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm always looking for more topics. So if there are topics that you find are useful or beneficial, or something that is challenging you in business, feel free to reach out to me and say, Debbie, we would love to have, your thoughts here, and if you could really help us here, right? As mentioned, I'm Debbie Jolie. I'm a marketing strategist and a business development consultant. So I work with organizations one on one to really help them with that top line goal, their sales and marketing um, activities to help them reach those sales and marketing goals, right? So you all have a great and amazing Friday. Be safe, and we will chat again soon. Take care. Bye bye.